Good morning, friends. I like that. I want to extend a warm welcome to you today. Everyone is welcome here. You are welcome here regardless of your age, your race, your income, your religion, or the gender with which you identify. You are welcome here regardless of who you love, who you vote for, the pronouns you prefer, the regrets that burden you, or the mistakes you have made. And it does not matter what your physical, mental, or cognitive abilities are. You are welcome here. In this safe community, we support each other in the sacred task of becoming. Celebrate the transcending mystery of life and rely on the transforming power of love.
Think of me for a moment in kind of a 12-step environment. My name is David, and I'm one of the dead. On July 24th, 1994, a beautiful summer day, I became part of the subculture of the Grateful Dead, and I already was fastly becoming a psychedelic shaman, and I realized I've chosen a religion that's illegal. I could lose my career, and I could spend decades in jail. I'm like, good job. But what I saw changed everything. And last week, you guys were just so phenomenal. Sharing your stories of having to hide in the shadows. I definitely feel that as well. But from this tradition, I'm actually going to start with some words from The Fifth Dimension by the group The Byrds. And it starts with experience, very similar to things I experienced during those rogue rituals back in the day. All my two-dimensional boundaries were gone. I had lost them badly, because it's terrifying. I saw that world crumble and I thought I was dead, but I found my senses still working. I opened my heart to the whole universe and I found it was loving, and I saw the great blunder my teachers had made. Scientific delirium, madness. Second words. This is from the Grateful Dead, a song called Ripple. And it sums up their metaphysical theology pretty well. There is a road, no simple highway, between the dawn and the dark of night, and if you go, no one may follow. That path is for your steps alone. You who choose to lead must follow, but if you fall, you fall alone. If you should stand, then who's to guide you? If I knew the way, I would take you home. Grateful Dead definitely letting the rest, all of us know, yeah, man, we're messed up too. The dead are nomadic refugees, outlaws. Mary Oliver, in her wonderful poem, talks about breaking free from original sin. I don't have to walk 100 miles through the desert on my knees. I don't have to be ashamed for embracing the world the way I embrace it. And Jim and I were talking last week about the essence of being in community authentically, to be a self. And that's why I came here. And I just got to tell you, it is so freeing to be in an environment where I don't have to hide. And I'm going to actually finish with some words. These are words that I wrote, and they were written during that time period. In fact, I was probably coming down. We are fire and air, bound in earth and water, spun forth from infinity and born of the stars. We are sparks of awareness falling for an instant through the vastness of time. And as I fall for an instant, I'm really grateful I can spend time with you.
Hi, my name's Hannah. I've been attending Buff with you all for a little over a year now. You see me here with my kiddos a lot, Juniper and LJ. We're here just about every other week that I can be. I'm here with my awesome partner, Corey, today, who lives in Grand Rapids and visiting with us. I'm just going to read, I think, today, because I will be very emotional if not. I was happy that Jim reached out to me regarding this poem. I had recently read it to my kids, Mary Oliver's poem. And it's really hit home for me as I've deconstructed my own Christian faith over the last probably 10 years. When I first read Wild Geese by Mary Oliver, I remember pausing on the line, "You do not have to be good." Something in me softened, because for most of my life, I truly believed I had to be good, or at least I had to prove my goodness to earn belonging, grace, and ultimately eternal life in the Christian church. I grew up in the Southern Baptist tradition, and from a young age, I was taught that I was separated from God because of my inherent sinfulness. The message was clear. I needed saving, forgiving, and constant repentance. I prayed to be better, cleaner, closer, but underneath it all, I carried a quiet confusion. If God lived inside of me, why was I taught not to trust myself? As a child, I remember feeling both shame and wonder, like I was somehow both unworthy and also part of something vast and beautiful. One verse that always stayed with me was from Philippians chapter 4, verses 11 through 13, when Paul says, he had learned to be content in all things, whether his hands were full or empty. Even then, the truth of that, I sensed there was a deeper peace that didn't depend on circumstance, that somehow that same peace lived in me too. But it took me decades to claim that knowing for myself. In my late 20s, I began to deconstruct my faith, to ask hard questions about what I had been taught. And what I discovered was that the peace that I had been searching for all those years wasn't missing because I was separated from God. It was missing because I had abandoned myself in the pursuit of something outside of myself. I realized I wasn't separated from God, I was separated from myself. The moment I began to turn inward with gentleness instead of judgment, I could finally feel the presence I had been chasing. It wasn't hovering above me or hiding behind me in the next right choice for my future. It was right here, woven into my consciousness. Now I believe my core isn't original sin, but original blessing. That the same divine essence that stirs in the ocean and the trees and the wild geese stirs in me too. And that's changed how I understand faith. I used to think that faith meant certainty, knowing the answers. But now I see that not knowing can actually be the holiest posture. Because when I don't know, I'm open. I'm listening. I'm trusting that life itself, that consciousness, that mystery is always leading me home. So when I hear the geese overhead calling out as they move together across the sky for the winter, I think of Mary Oliver's words. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. For me, trusting my inner knowing has been that call, the reminder that I already belong, that I'm already loved, and that I never needed to be good to be whole.
Hi, everybody. Howdy, I'm Jeff. I thought about what I was going to say today after Jim asked me, went over a number of things, and what I ended up landing on is what brought the Friels family to Michigan. It's funny because when I told people in Texas we were moving to southwestern Michigan, they said, where? You're leaving Austin, Texas to go to rural. You're leaving the University of Texas at Austin to go to a small rural community college? And I said, yes. And I was proud of it, and I still am. I'm a man of science. I believe in data. I believe in evidence. And at work, I often ask, how do we know? It's part of what I do in my work. But there's also something that I don't talk about very much, even with my family, about something inside, about the way the universe speaks to me and speaks to us, I think all of us. I remember some years ago watching some documentary about space-time, relativity, all that good stuff. And something occurred to me, which is You know, when planets and stars sit on the fabric of the universe, that's what creates gravity. It creates energy. And I believe that we all, as living beings, even though we're very small compared to a star or a planet, we all also create energy. We all also create gravity. And I believe that places and people have gravity and have energy. I can't really explain it. I don't necessarily believe in God, but as a man of science, I don't really know for sure. So I consider myself agnostic. At the same time, I do feel things. So I'm going to tell you really quick how we came to Michigan. I was looking for a job for a while. We were looking to get out of Texas for all kinds of reasons. And I was looking around, and the job that I ended up applying for at Southwestern Michigan College, which is where I work now, it looked like it was written for me. And that was the first thing that spoke to me. And then when I did my first Zoom interview with them, and it was so warm and welcoming, and that was cool too. That's still not necessarily enough evidence to assume something about the universe. And then they brought me here to come visit, and I landed in Chicago and rented a car and drove in, and the minute I crossed the Michigan state line, something happened. I don't really know what it was, but I felt it. It felt right. It resonated with me. I went to the campus, or they put me up in a hotel. I coach baseball for my kids, and they put me up in the hotel, and I looked out the window, and there was a youth baseball field right next to the hotel. Okay, cool. I go to campus for my in-person interview. The very first person I met was this young man named Brad. I walk in the building. I'm trying to figure out where to go. Brad sees me down the hall, and he says, "Jeff." And he comes running at me. Young man, super enthusiastic, shakes my hand. "So glad you're here. We're happy to meet you. Where are you trying to go?" He and I end up chatting with him for a minute. He takes me to the HR office. He works for me now, and he's great. And then, I take the job, right? Long story short. We go and we put a bid on a house right up here. Now, when we lived in Austin, Kelly and my wife and I had talked about going to a UU church for a while. There was one, but it wasn't really close to our house. It was kind of far away. And so we just never took the plunge. Okay? We had no idea. This is no nonsense. We had no idea, but we put in a bid on the house. It was accepted. We were waiting to close on our house that's 5 minutes away down Lincoln Avenue. And I said, let's look to see what churches are around. And I looked on Google Maps, and 5 minutes away was this church. And I texted Kelly, and I said, there's a UU church that's 5 minutes down the road from our new house that we're supposed to be closing on. And we've come here, and it's going really well. My job is great. The boys are thriving. We got a new job, and Kelly can't wait to find out what kind of breed it is. We did the whole DNA test. We're loving the weather. I know winter's coming. We're aware. Everybody likes to tell us that winter's on the way. We get it. It's going to snow. It'll be cold. But all of those things that happened one after the next and continue to happen, frankly. And like I said, part of the thing as I look back at some of the reasons we left Texas, and things are going badly and worse there, all those things that made us leave, and now the reason why we came here, and it all is part of something that I feel like the universe was telling me and telling us. I do have to ask myself often, is this just what you want to see, Jeff? That's the challenge as I've gotten older, because one of the things that's frustrating oftentimes about faith is that people, that they think God is talking to them and God magically is telling them to do the things that they want to do anyways, right? There's that alignment. There's often that alignment between what I want from the world and what I think God is telling me. And so I'm very rigorous. That's the man of science in me that constantly asks, is this just what I want to see? Or is this something real? And that's why if it's one thing, if it's two things, even if it's three things, it's easy to write off. But when it's 10 and 15 things, it rings true. And so learning to trust that, but also learning to question it, but also feeling it when it does feel real, and understanding that the energy of the universe and the energy of people and the energy of places really is a real thing. And that's what I've learned to listen to in my life. And I'm so glad to be with you all here today. And thanks to Jim for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.